Hi there. Welcome to day two. I'm glad you all made it, that you're all here now. Today we will be focusing on the how. So yesterday we looked into the why. So why would we want to change things? Why would we want to innovate things in a sustainable way? Well, you could say the reason why is because we have to, right? Because these sustainable development goals have been adopted by the EU. Therefore, all of us here, we have to start adhering to those rules. But better, of course, is a why where you want to. So please, for your own project, focus on that. So select a couple of these sustainable development goals that you really feel that you can contribute to, and that then will help you in your why. Okay, let's focus on the how today. So that's the next step. And what we also already discussed yesterday is that we are starting with a huge change. Things are really changing a lot. Everything is changing. The way we produce, the way we consume, all these things. So very often people are reluctant to change because they're afraid things are going to get worse. However, in many cases, that's not the case. Things can actually improve, but we can only improve if we dare to actually change and change our paradigm, to change the way how we look upon things. That's why I really liked this picture here, because this is basically a very strong, for me, it's a very strong metaphor of where we are and what we're trying to do. So when I read it out to you, just when the caterpillar thought the world was over, it became a butterfly. So the caterpillar thinks his life is over, right? He's becoming a chrysalis, he's in his cocoon, and suddenly there's a new life, and it's a much better life. Now, with that metaphor in mind, I would like to take you to the how. This is where we come from. So here we have the caterpillar, and this is our linear economy. This is how we've been doing things, right? We take resources from nature, from wherever, we make something out of it, we use it, and after we've used it, we dispose it, we lose it, it becomes waste. This is what we've been doing. So it's very linear. Is that a bad thing? Well, it is in the long run, but it's also understandable that we did that. It's very similar to the caterpillar itself. We did this because we wanted to grow. That was our only focus, growing, growing, growing. Oh, there's my nice pop-up again. Let's make sure that disappears. Hopefully it's not going to bother us again. All right, so that's our main focus. That was always our focus, growing. Quantitatively growing. We had to get big, we had to get energy. Now, in this change where we are right now, we can still grow, but we have to grow in a different way. Let's say we become the butterfly, then we still have to do the same thing. We might be taking some resources from nature, we make something out of it, we use it, and sometimes we have to lose it, but in most cases we try to avoid that. So after we've made something and we use it, we're going to restore it and use it again. Or if it's biological stuff, we're going to regenerate it and use it again. So you actually see the same form here of the metaphor, the butterfly. So basically, we still might have to take stuff, but as you can see, the arrows are much thinner than they are with a linear model. So yes, we still need nature, we still need resources, we still will be mining stuff and so forth, but it's going to be at a much lower rate than it is right now. And also what we will be losing will be far less. So we really have to make sure that we start to restore, regenerate, reuse the stuff that we have been mining. So that's the butterfly. So basically, we have to change from being a caterpillar into becoming a butterfly. Now, the whole model of circular economy, which you have seen already in module 3, basically represents that butterfly, as you can see here. Now, I'm not sure if it's going to be very clear in the video. If not, the PowerPoint is also in Blackboard, so please look at the slides of the PowerPoint, or I might even be, not me, but I might know somebody who's capable of squeezing in the slide in the video instead of looking at my face. Basically here what you see is the same thing as I just showed you on the previous slide. At the top we still have mining and taking resources, natural resources. Then after we have that primary resources, that those become parts for a manufacturer. Then the manufacturer turns it into a product, and very often the product is provided to us through a service provider, and then it finally reaches us, the consumer. That's where we will be using it. Now, after using it, we could lose it, becoming waste. But that's not what we want. We want to make sure we don't have any waste anymore. So that's where you can see all the different cycles where it goes back up again. Now, this is a very important part because there's 4 different cycles, not just one, right? In many people's mind, and also what we see a lot, is that circular economy equals recycling. And that's not true. Recycling is definitely a factor, definitely an important aspect of the circular economy, but it's not the goal. It's actually one of the least desirable goals. There are many more options which would be far more contributing towards sustainability. First of all, it starts at the top. When we rethink, when we redesign stuff, we might have to take less. And the less natural new resources we have to mine or extract from the planet, the better it is. So that's where it starts. It starts with rethinking, not with recycling. Okay, anyway, after rethinking processes, having whole new processes, we're still going to have the whole thing going down where it ends up with the user. Now, the best thing then, if the user has something, is that it can be maintained. That's the smallest cycle we see here. So maintenance is an important thing. Because if you maintain a product, you don't need to replace it. And if you don't need to replace it, it's not going to end up in the waste pile that we saw yesterday. If we can't maintain it, well, we might have to send it back to the service provider for repairs and so forth, or upgrading it. So that's the next cycle, but it doesn't go back all the way up in the chain. So the least links in the chain it has to revisit, the more we work towards sustainability. All right, okay. I've been talking over 7 minutes already again, so let's move on. So this, I hope you get the picture. So with the tools that you will be using are the 6 R's. That's one of the tools. And these tools will help you to define how you have made your service sustainable. So which of these R's will you be focusing on? As you can see here, step 1 is rethinking things. Step 2 is refusing. So do you actually have to accept whatever offered to you? You could be refusing certain products from your suppliers if they're haven't been made in the right way, and haven't been made in a sustainable way. Would you want to accept them still, or are you refusing them? The more people refuse it, the more the providers of those not sustainable products have to reconsider, can we do this in a different way? Step 3 is reducing, so using less. Step 4 is reusing, so using the same stuff again and again and again. And only step 5 is recycling. So basically, my advice to you when you work on your innovative startup is not to focus on recycling. Because if this is your highest aim, well, you either succeed or you fall back into step 6, which is replacing. So but if you start focusing on rethinking, redesigning the process, then you're in step 1. If it doesn't work out, you can always resort back to step 2 or 3 or 4 or even 5, right? But at least then, if you aim high, you have a much larger chance of becoming successful. Okay, so these are the 6 R's, the ones you can use. Now, yes, they're all contributing towards getting away from a linear economy. However, let me show you a next picture, which is... So let's focus on the next slide. So if we look at this slide, it clearly shows us the difference that, okay, yes, we have to get away from the linear economy, because within the linear economy, as we know, it's like the caterpillar, we use it, we lose it. So we generate a lot of waste. So we don't want that. So in the recycling economy, yes, it's definitely contributing. It's better because we use stuff more often, but in the end, we're still generating waste. Basically, what we're aiming at is a circular economy where there is no waste. Now, let me also try to explain to you why that is so important. Again, with a metaphor, because, well, that's the way I do things. The model we are in right now, you could actually compare that to being in a car and riding towards a cliff. if we don't change anything, we're driving at full speed, so we know within now and let's say half an hour, we will reach the cliff and we will fall off. If we recycle, if that's our solution, we're not actually changing direction. So we're still heading towards the cliff. But basically, we're just reducing the speed a little bit. Now, I'm not experienced with driving off cliffs, but I don't think it makes a big difference if we drive off the cliff at 60 miles an hour or if we drive off the cliff at 30 miles an hour. We both end up at the bottom. So it's not a solution, it's just slowing down the process. A solution is diverting direction, so no longer drive towards the cliff. And that would be the circular economy. So there is no waste, and therefore we're no longer heading towards the cliff anymore. So this is where we want to aim. This is where we want to go. Of course, in the meantime, while we are figuring out what the direction should be, it does help to push the brakes a little bit. Yes, it's helpful, but it's not the solution. Okay, so within your innovative service or innovative product, whatever you're going to do for your startup, bear this in mind. So recycling does help, but it's not the goal. Okay, let's go to the next slide. We're almost there, guys. Don't worry. Okay, so basically, you can probably not read this, but then we'll try to squeeze in the slide in the video. Basically, if you look at this slide, this will give you a very clear insight in what we want to aim for. This is the zero waste hierarchy as we are using it within Europe. And at the top of the hierarchy, this is what we are aiming for, is refusing, rethinking, and redesigning. Because here we've actually changed the direction. So we're no longer heading towards the cliff. Reducing and reusing is still a very, very desirable goal. As you can see here, there's like a bigger space between. Here we get into the recycling. So recycling, yes, it's always better than dropping things at the landfill, but it's not the solution we're aiming for. So please, when you have your ideas, look at this hierarchy, try to figure out where do we fit in, and that also already basically tells you whether it's a good solution or whether it's less good, but at least, a solution. Okay, right, please keep that in mind. Then we are reaching the end of today's video. So what I have for you here is the watch list. So all the things you have to watch after this video. Basically, it's about a similar length, I think, in total as what we had yesterday. Closing the Loop is a long movie, so that's where you have to bring out the popcorn again and knock yourself out with whatever you're bringing in. All the other ones are, again, very short videos, but everything together gives you a very good overview. It gives you a lot of food for thought, as well as, okay, how can we approach this? How can we actually make sure that we have something good at the end? So put in the hours whenever you want to do it. Please first go outside, but I'm looking outside today, but you're not watching this today. Today at least it's nice weather. I hope it's nice weather on the 21st. We'll find out. Have a look at all the videos and get ready for tomorrow, because tomorrow there's some videos again, but then it's you guys time for action. Then you have to start making stuff. All right, have fun today, and I hope to see you all again tomorrow. Take care.